16 teams, but only one will win the Stanley Cup, boys. And it all starts today as Carolina playing the New York Islanders, but on Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, it's going to be Toronto versus Boston. A rivalry that really we don't need to introduce too much. Leafs fans know about it. Boston Bruins fans know भी पता है. But गल बात ये है कि 16 टीमां की कहानी आज शुरू होनी है. एक ने Stanley Cup जितना. And let's start with Game 1, Toronto versus Boston. So much to talk about when it comes to this matchup. So much history. First thing that comes to mind for you guys when these two teams match up, Tap?
Painful memories for Leafs fans. All the Game 7s, all the beatings they took. And you know what? Different situation. No Chara, no Bergeron, no Krejci, boys. It's a new look for the Leafs, too. Let's see how it goes.
Same thing. Failure for the Leafs is what comes to mind, that one word. And yeah, Marchand, I think, is the only player left from that first loss 10-plus years ago. But yeah, the last three times with this regime of the Boston Bruins, Toronto's been, they've lost in the first round, and they've been up in a couple of series.
A little bit older.
They've lost. A little bit older, yeah.
A little bit older.
Mature,
the Leafs are more mature.
Yeah.
It could be a different series.
Pasternak was part of the last one, so there is definitely some overlap and holdover, but this is going to be a tough series for Toronto again.
Okay, a couple of things, though. When you start breaking it down by position, the forward group, Toronto's got the high-end, flair. They've got the 69-goal scorer in Austin Matthews, got Mitch Marner, William Nylander we'll talk about in a second.
Dak was disappointed,
they look like they're deeper up front.
They've got the firepower, they've got some size, they've got some strength. Do they have the advantage there? Because you got Pasta, who put up 110 points this year. You got Marchand, who's always going to do his thing. But when it comes down to the center position, Boston's got Charlie Coyle playing first line minutes right now, and I think a lot of people are going to be looking at that matchup saying, "ये बंदा ठीक है उस position च, खास करके ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ 2-3 center ਵਧੀਆ ਹੈਗੇ Toronto च." Is that where the forward group really kind of falls in the favor of Toronto?
High-end talent, you're right. Toronto has the advantage. Boston has the discipline, though. They play a certain way. They play structured. They play physical. They play tight. So can the Maple Leafs forwards break through that? We're going to have to wait and see. But yes, upper end talent, slight advantage to the Leafs.
Zach has been great for them. Huge addition. He's scored 25 goals, I think, again this year. Tough guys, tough group. They're big centermen. These guys are 6'3", 6'4". It's not going to be easy for the Leafs. So I know the talent's there indeed, but it's going to be very tough to get through these guys.
Yeah, you got talent on the Toronto side, but you've got a culture that Boston has set over the years. Multiple coaches, multiple players, and that's still going through that roster today.
Well, even for the Leafs players, walking into the Garden tonight, you got to be a little bit nervous going into it. You're seeing all that go in front of your eyes again, and they got to be shaking a little bit in their skates, getting a little nervous for the game, first game here. So I think there's something to be said about playing in that building against that team, the team culture they've built. You can't match that.
Okay, so that's the advantage that the Leafs probably have on paper. We'll see how it plays out. The other two aspects of the game, though. Defense, I think that's pretty fair to say Boston's got that advantage.
Oh, yeah.
But the one thing I'll give the Leafs is they've added the depth on defense, which gives them the options if somebody gets hurt with a Giordano, Liljegren, he's been in and out of the lineup. So if they do have some injuries, they have a bit more depth, but Boston is a bit heavier in the back.
They have depth, but it's not high-quality depth. It's okay depth.
It's better quality than it was earlier this year, but is it good enough to compete against a team like Boston is a question.
That's where it's going to be tough, because Boston, that heavy style of play, that's going to take a toll on you throughout the series. So I do give Boston a bit of the edge there on defense.
Okay, and now let's go back to goaltending, because this is a really interesting one where you got, of course, the tandem in Boston, right? You got मैं कहना चाहना कि ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦੋ ਖਿਡਾਰੀ Boston 'ਚ ਆਲਮਰ ਖੋਏ ਸੂਏਮਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦਿਖਾਇਆ ਕਿ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੋੜੀ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਉਹ ਰੱਬ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਈ ਹੈ ਜੋੜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਜਦ ਜੌਨ ਸਵੀਨੀ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਈ ਜੋੜੀ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਇਲੀਆ ਸੈਮਸਨੋਵ ਉਹਦੇ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਲਈ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ. Is that good enough to play against this Boston team? And what kind of Ilya Samsonov are we going to see?
I think it's a no-brainer. Boston has the advantage. ਗੋਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਗੋਲ 'ਚ ਹੀ ਦੋਨੇ ਤਕੜੇ ਆ. ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੇ ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰ, ਸੋ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ Boston ਦਾ. ਐਡਵਾਂਟੇਜ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਹੈਗਾ.
All right, so that's Toronto, Boston. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going 50-50. We'll get to our predictions a little bit later on. We've had a lot of feedback on them as well. So this is something that I think with the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins, there's going to be a lot of discussion. We're going to do that game tonight too. So ਇਹ ਵੀ ਚੇਤਾ ਕਰਾ ਦਈਏ ਪਰ ਬਾਕੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੁਕਾਬਲੇ ਆ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਲੌਕ ਰੂਮ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਆ the nerves in this as well. Remember, there's a lot of veterans in that room, but there's a lot of guys, young guys, the Leafs got them too, that are playing their very first playoff game.
Exactly, but this is where it comes in handy. Having a guy like Joel Edmondson, he actually won a cup in this building with St. Louis.
Right.
So having a guy like that in your lineup comes in huge. And apparently before the game, Edmondson did come out alone, had a look around the Garden. He said, I soaked it in, talked to the guys a little bit. So there is a difference. That presence makes a little bit of a difference for those young guys in the room.
And we're going to have to keep on watching this feed on our own as well, just to see William Nylander, if he's popping up there. Didn't see him from the distance that we were looking at it, but we'll have that confirmed for you in a little bit. But
he hasn't really missed any games.
No.
He only misses games when he's sick. Even if you look at his career, he's kind of been an Iron Man for them. I know you have an issue with that, Randeep, because maybe he's not playing in the dirty areas as much.
I never said that.
Hey, you've mentioned it to me, so I'm calling you out for that. But
All right. This is because I took offense with you taking shots at our Austin Matthew last week.
I got to get
Matthews
back
last
to
week.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the
Fair
playoffs,
enough.
man.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
The attack's playoff ready.
But
now.
you know what? So he's out, potentially
Maybe,
tonight.
yeah.
But even if he is, Nick Robertson brings a similar style of play, so they're going to have him on the wing. He can create his own shot. He's fast. He's quick. Let's see how that pans out for him.
So Elliot Friedman just tweeted, or X'd, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. Nylander is not playing today.
There you go.
I called
So
it.
there you go.
Confirmed from the top insider in the game.
I'm 1 for 1.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give Elliot the credit.
I'm gonna give Elliot the credit.
Yeah, not you, Tack. But there you have it. William Nylander ਅੱਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਖੇਡਣਾ. So ਪਹਿਲੇ ਮੁਕਾਬਲੇ ਚ ਇਸ series ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ playoffs ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ William Nylander not playing. All right, this is the game that we're going to be doing tonight on Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi Omni Television. Hit us up on the website as well, omnitv.ca/hockey. But I want to talk about the other series, the Canadian series especially, that are going on in the league right now. Let's go to Vancouver. The game's going on tomorrow. Vancouver Canucks versus the Nashville Predators. And ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ Vancouver ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੇਮੀ ਸੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ Nashville ਨਾਲ ਖੇਡਣਾ ਹੈ Nashville ਨਾਲ ਖੇਡਣਾ ਹੈ Is this a situation where be careful what you wish for?
ਤੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਲੈਣਾ ਜਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ
I know why you guys are looking at me.
ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਆ ਕੀ ਆ
ਇਹਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ Vancouver ਦਾ
ਸਾਰੇ
ਪਤਾ
ਤੈਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕੁੱਟਣਾ
I just want to say there's been way too much hate mail in the inbox ever since
We'll
I
get to
said
that.
Nashville will win the series, but it's going to be a tougher matchup than I think people think, boys, because Nashville, yes, they were not a great team to start the season, but look at after the All-Star break, they're one of the best teams in the West, so you can't discredit what they've done.
It's a different team. Those 3 wins the Canucks have were before the start of this year, right? They were in 2023, so it was a different team at that point. They're much better now, but I would still rather have, if I was the Vancouver Canucks, I would still rather want to play Nashville than, say, a Vegas.
But if you look at the last 20, 25 games of the season in the Western Conference, Nashville's been the best team in the West. Canucks are, I think, 9th or 10th down the list there.
Yeah, if you look at special teams, Nashville special teams, their goals for, goals against doesn't look great. But the last 2 months, they're amongst the best team on the power play.
And even 5-on-5.
Defensively, goals against, they've actually got lower goals against than the Vancouver Canucks. So which Nashville Predators do you see? Do you see the one that you saw in March? ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ U2 ਵਾਲੇ ਕਨਸਰਟ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਇਹ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਦਿਖਾਇਆ But or do you see the Nashville team that maybe you saw in the final few games of the season where they only won 3 of their last 10?
ਏਦਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ. So Nashville's been playing up the last couple months, and the Canucks, you can say they've been playing up all year, but the last couple months their play has dropped. So which teams are we going to see? I think they're going to meet somewhere in the middle. Vancouver's better than they've been the last couple months, and I don't think Nashville's as good as they've been the last couple months.
It's fair to say it's going to be a tough series, but Nashville, I mean, people are discrediting them. They're not as deep as the Canucks forwards, for sure, if you look on paper, but their goal scoring has been up since the All-Star break, and they've been one of the top goal-scoring teams.
All right, from a Vancouver perspective, let's talk Thatcher Demko because he's healthy. He played the final 2 games of the regular season. This is a guy that, before he got hurt, he was in the Vezina, Trophy Award discussion. So, how big of an impact will he have on the series? Because this is a much better team defensively, one of the best in the league. But Thatcher Demko ਵਰਗਾ ਖਿਡਾਰੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋ ਹੋਵੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਸਿਹਤ ਠੀਕ ਆ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਪੈ ਸਕਦਾ
They're scoring scrappy goals, Nashville. So Demko's going to get a lot of action in and around the crease, in and around the net, a lot of contact. It's going to come down to his health. We know he's proven he's a great goalie, but if he's healthy, that's what's going to determine his success in this
ਤੇ
series.
ਉਹਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਖੇਡ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਕੱਲੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਟੀਮ ਦਾ ਹੌਸਲਾ ਵੱਧ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਟਾਰਟਿੰਗ ਗੋਲ 'ਚ ਨੈਟਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ everybody plays a little bit differently when your starters in net, right?
ਤੇ ਨਾਲੇ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਵਾਲਿਓ ਚੇਤਾ ਰੱਖਿਓ ਕਿ ਇਹਦਾ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਵੀ ਪਲੇਆਫ 'ਚ ਘੱਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਡੈਮਕੋ ਦਾ ਸੌਰੋਸ ਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸੋ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੋਲ ਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਬੈਟਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕੀਪ ਐਨ ਆਈ ਔਨ ਦੈਟ
ਪਰ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਐਂਡਰੂ ਬਰੂਨੈਟ ਇਹਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਕੱਲ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਹੀ ਸੀ ਫੋਕਸ ਵਾਸ the Canucks are doing really well at boxing out these days, right? And both of those teams are going to have to do that because, yes, they've got elite goaltenders, but look at their defensive players. Most of them are big, they're physical. Ryan McDonough, Lauzon leading the league in hits. You've got other players further down the lineup that can, Luke Shen, former Vancouver Canuck. On the other side, Vancouver's got Soucy, Myers, Zadorov. There's even Ian Cole, who's not 6 foot, but he plays a physical brand. ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗਬਲਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਆਈਸ ਦਾ ਹੈ ਬੜਾ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲ ਮਿਲਣਾ
ਤੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਫੋਰਵਰਡ ਵੀ ਇੱਕੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਗੋਲਚੀ ਵੀ ਇੱਕੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਤੇ ਕੋਚ ਵੀ ਇੱਕੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਇਸ ਸੀਰੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਸੋ ਬੜੀ ਦਿਲਚਸਪ ਸੀਰੀਜ਼ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ
All right, let's move on to the LA Kings, the Edmonton Oilers. Before we get to that as well, we want to confirm that the Carolina Hurricanes just beat the New York Islanders 3-1 in the opening game of that series, so maybe the sweep is still on, but New York did show something in this game, so maybe it might be a longer series. Who knows? Maybe they could still surprise. But let's get to the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings. This is a fascinating matchup because 3 ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਸਾਲ ਇਹ ਖੇਡੇ ਆ ਪਲੇਆਫਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 2 ਵਾਰੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਓਇਲਰਸ ਜਿੱਤੇ ਕੀ LA Kings ਕੋਲ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ ਚਾਂਸ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੀਅਰ ਲੁਕ ਡੁਆ ਵੀ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ ਹੋਰ ਖਿਡਾਰੀ ਵੀ ਲਿਆਂਦੇ will they get it done against this team in Edmonton that started off the year terribly but now they almost won the Pacific Division?
The shorter answer is no. They will not get it done versus the Edmonton Oilers. I know they play the tight defense and they slow the game down and they play a certain style, but I think Edmonton has been the hottest team since Knobloch took over as coach. #1 team per points, wins pretty much all of those different statistical categories. So anyways, my answer is Edmonton, no problem.
But Gurpreet, ਇੰਨਾ ਆਸਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ. The depth guys have to step up. ਜਿਹੜੇ depth ਖਿਡਾਰੀ ਆ Ryan Nugent Hopkins, Kane ਵਰਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਗੋਲ ਕਰਨੇ ਪੈਣੇ ਆ. ਚੇਤਾ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਪਿਛਲੇ season, regular season, great stats. Everybody scoring a bunch of goals, bunch of points. In the playoffs, they did nothing.
Okay, if the LA Kings win this series, I think all the viewers are going to require some jaw too because they play a very lock-it-down defensive style with their 1-3-1. So we'll see how this series plays out. If there's a lot of goals, Edmonton's probably going to win. All right, let's move over to Winnipeg and Colorado. 7-0 was the score in the final week of the season. Winnipeg ended up beating Colorado. Now the story is, or the question is, will Winnipeg be able to, even though they have the home ice advantage, are they still the favorites here, or do you go with Nate Dogg?
I'm still going with Nate Dogg. I mean, I'm going with that championship experience, and I know Winnipeg's coming in hot. They've won a bunch of games in a row, but Colorado, to me, is still, not just because I picked them in the preseason, but
that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yes, that doesn't matter. Now that the season's over, I'm still picking them.
When it comes down to goaltending, Winnipeg has the advantage if Hellebuck's healthy and he's playing well. They have that advantage, and they have depth. If you look at the forward group, a lot more depth than what Colorado has compared to that cup run team. But when it comes down to the stars, boys, I still put my money on the stars.
Yeah, this is a battle of high end versus depth. If McKinnon and Makar do their thing, it's very difficult to stop them, even the best teams across the league. I'm not saying Winnipeg isn't, but Winnipeg's a contender. Are they a favorite? Not necessarily. However, if they're not going, then that depth can prove true. You pick up Monahan, you pick up Toffoli, you pick up others, and you might have a shot if you're Winnipeg. We'll see what happens there. We have our very different predictions, and let's get to the predictions as well, because Gopi, here's your predictions, and some interesting ones here.
Why?
Hey, some people were applauding yours.
Yeah, I thought they're pretty good at predictions.
Okay. You know, we'll see. We'll see. There's some interesting ones.
What do you not like?
There's no outlandish ones here. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Now
they're right. That's why.
Tack. All right, Takdeer, Tyndall. You picked the Nashville Predators. Only one on our entire team to pick Nashville instead of Vancouver. Explain yourself.
The reason is they've been the hottest team, as I mentioned, in the West. Goal scoring is up. Their defense is good. They can match the Canucks pound for pound. Goaltending, you got Hughes on one side, you have Roman Josi on the other side. And you know what? Elias Pettersson has not been the same player. I know Vancouver ਵਾਲੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਨੈਸ਼ਵਿਲ ਜਿੱਤੂਗੇ ਪਰ ਗੇਮਾਂ ਬੜੀ ਨਜ਼ਦੀਕ ਹੋਣੀ
ਤੂੰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਟਣਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਯਾਰ ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਆ ਗਈ ਇੱਥੇ all right ਮੇਰਾ ਵੀ ਦਿਖਾ ਦਿਓ I got the Edmonton Oilers losing to the LA Kings. Yes, I do. I think it goes 7 games. I think they lock them down, and that's going to be a snooze fest of a series, but that's exactly what LA wants. If you don't like them, if you like them, hit us up, let us know. But here we go. We're ready for Game 1, where you have the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're watching warm-ups. That's right, in Boston. And that's coming up. Jurassic Park is ready too as well. And we're ready on Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi. Make sure to tune in on television or online. We'll chat in a bit.